I thought since we've had a fair bit of rain, it was like 120 mil over the last week after 3 months of nothing, everything's going to be reacting, and the main thing that I'm thinking about right now that's reacting after playing in the forest again today is ticks. And I've been dealing with ticks since I've been in Australia, probably 15 years and 8 years in the southeast, and they're just part of nature like everything, but they do have some big risks. And risks are getting just your local crook, your headaches, which I generally get and knock you around for a couple of days, to developing like a glandular fever, like tick typhus sort of thing, which is indicated by generally the local reaction. If it looks like a bullseye, then there's a specific antibiotic, which I don't know the name of right now, for the tick typhus that'll hopefully help it out. Mammalian meat allergy, which is something I definitely don't want, which can make you completely allergic to red meat. And I've heard of this happening to people I've worked with as a ranger, and contractors have got it as well that have worked in the park. It's something that you can get over by weaning yourself back on, but yeah, I don't want to get mammalian meat allergy. Lyme-like diseases or blood diseases possible as well, and I think the more I feel like the tick season is more viable. There's a few new species of ticks in our local area, so I think that's part of the longer seasons, or the more viability of things that's happened now with, I guess, the lack of a seasonal lull is the main thing. Ticks generally will always be where their hosts are, so wildlife, animals. Bandicoots are generally one of the biggest transporters, and there's not many yards in Australia don't have bandicoots, and they'll bring them into your yard. Your cats and dogs will bring them to you, even if they're treated or they've got collars on. It's likely they'll still bring ticks into the house, and that tick will jump onto you because you don't have a collar on. So they're everywhere where wildlife will be found, or where animals will be found in general. Wallabies are another big carrier of them. My plan of attack, and I've had some interesting times with ticks, like getting up to 70 odd ticks on your body in the nymph stage, and I've done it a couple of times as well, when I've accidentally knelt on a nest and been covered in, I guess you could say, a swarm of them or whatever, and they're very small at that stage, so they're really hard to find. Prevention is the key at all times. Don't do what I've done, kneel on the ground, create that separation, use your deep squat. We all know how good it is for us for mobility, so use your deep squat instead of kneeling. I make my own repellent, which is vinegar mainly, and the strength of the vinegar goes up at this time of the year, with essential oils, and that ranges from tea tree to eucalyptus. I put a bit of lavender in there to sort of mask the vinegar a little bit. But that works. I spray my boots, I spray my pockets, my belt, and my hat. They generally will come from low, so a metre off the ground, but they do like forage bark trees, or they love tree ferns, so they'll be up in tree ferns. So as a note, be mindful of working around tree ferns, because that's where you'll find ticks as well. But yeah, prevention, there's clothing you can get that's treated, and you can get a mix that you can treat your own clothes and permethrin or pyrethrin, I can't remember. And the clothing works really well. There's a supplier of clothing out of the States called Safari Life, and they've got picnic blankets and all sorts of stuff, and it's I don't think there's a supplier in Australia at the moment, but I've got some of that clothing. I don't generally wear it because the vinegar mix works for me most of the time. I stop and check, and it was always a golden rule when we're doing track work. Whenever we'd have a break, we'd actually check each other for ticks, because they do move slow, and a lot of the time, especially now after I've had quite a few, develop a bit of a sixth sense to it, and can feel them on your skin and notice that slow tickle, I guess, and know that you've got a tick moving around. But it's always worth stopping, looking down, getting someone to check your back, checking anywhere you might be itchy and reacting to those instincts, because likely it could be a tick and you'll catch it before it actually gets in. If you do catch them, make sure you kill them. So we're going to crush them between our nails on our thumb, and we make sure they pop. Dropping them on the ground, you're just asking for trouble. So always make sure they're gone. Ticks are attracted to white. So if you ever want to do an experiment, which I'm going to do because I've got a bandicoot dug up area out here, lay a white sheet down and they'll be attracted to white. So after a few hours, you'll be able to go back to that white sheet and see how many ticks you've got in the area, and then you'll be a bit more knowledgeable about how wary you need to be when you go into your own yard. As far as treatment, if they do make it in, not disturbing that tick at all after you find it, and then killing it. I think the quickest way is with the liquid nitrogen spray, and you don't want to go too hard on that. You just want to, and then so double tap that thing. But I use, I think one of my ones that's quite good is a hand sanitizer, so 99% alcohol. They're obviously not going to like that. Tea tree oil, I know I use that because I know my skin doesn't react to that, so I don't get a reaction from the treatment. And my body's very used to tea tree oil, and it seems to kill them fast enough that there's not that much of a reaction. And then we're tweezering them out. Wait, 30 seconds to a minute so they can properly decease before you start playing with them again. And that just prevents more toxins getting in. They'll only really inject toxins when they think they're under threat. So if they're on a hat line rub, which I get sometimes around the back of my head, or on a seatbelt rub, which I get they'll generally be worse because you're irritating them and threatening them, so they're getting irritated and putting toxins into you. After that point, I go with the monitoring for a reaction, local reaction, to make sure there's no tick typhus or anything coming up, and that's ID'd by a bullseye, so a red dot initially around the bite, and then a white ring around it, and then more red after that. So that's when you seek medical attention for that. I go with vitamin C as the reaction, so I'll go for a high dose of vitamin C, lots of water. The toxin, I believe, is accumulative in your body. I'm not sure if that is completely true. I believe that we can clean it out. It's just I haven't found anywhere where I can prove that is true. But we need to get the lymphatic system moving. So rebounding, lots of bouncing on trampolines is the best thing for it. There's breathing exercises for your lymphatic system to cleanse it out. But yeah, lots and lots of water, sweating it out, and I do once a year. I do a cleanse with spirulina, and I believe that possibly helps it as well. Just clean it out. But I've got a bit of a theory that leeches might be handy for that, so I've always left the leeches on, and I know that if you leave the leech on and it drops off naturally, then I know I personally get less of a reaction compared to any other way of treating a leech. But yeah, whether it cleans tick toxins out of your blood, I know it detoxifies your blood to a point, the leech, but yeah, whether it actually does that or not, maybe it's just wishful thinking. But everything is mental. So yeah, the key, we all want to get out in the bush, we all want to go out in the garden. They really can take the joy out of the days in the forest sometimes. So the key is prevention. Spray up, check yourself, treat before irritating. Get the clothing if you're really dodgy. There's patches and things for kids, but I'm not sure how good. I've never actually tried them myself. The vinegar spray, which is probably 70% vinegar now, with oils, it works good. If you're doing a whole day, you want to apply it more than once, and just be wary. We're in spring, so there's nests of nymphs about, and if you do get one of these fun infestations on your body, antihistamines for sure. because she has, and I've had to resort to like a tea tree oil and Dettol bath to make sure that at least all the ticks are dead, and then following up on the days afterwards, you'll notice ones that are possibly reacting that you need to follow up on. But it's the key is killing them, so you're getting into a bath that's going to submerge them in something that'll kill those tiny nymphs. But avoidance. Be wary this time of year, there's nymphs nests out and they can be nasty. But don't avoid the bush, because we all know how good it is for us, how healthy gardening is. We just need to be a bit more knowledgeable and a bit more clever. So,